Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 9. Just 2 more weeks left of this amazing journey. So, we just spent the last 2 weeks harvesting this new space. The 2 weeks before that, you were creating that space by opening up basically opening up the channel, moving those ego parts out of the way so you can actually hear more. So, you did the soul house exercise and the Jungian journaling. So, you should now have some specifics about what's next for you in your life. And we're going to continue that theme uh, with the 10 years process. So the first piece of this is actually you'll begin to select a purpose project, and there's a process that you'll be led through to do that. And then we're going to actually move you into the future. So you'll be guided in this um, very physical, somatic way into the future to see purpose project after purpose project being completed so that you can see that this is really kind of what the rest of your life is like. I mean, yeah, you'll be updating these different areas of your life with your soul's purpose, but actually, like your your purpose in action is nothing but a series of purpose projects. It's just saying, I'm creating this brand new future. This is where we're going, and it's going to be over on this date. And then you create the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and so forth. Now, some of you may, end up having a career, that's my want for all of you, where your sole purpose is the main way that you make your livelihood. But even within that, that is still a series of purpose projects. And so it's just one thing after another, and they all grow and build on each other. And fortunes aren't made in a day. They're basically, or impact even. Those things are really the result of time on task, just doing purpose project after purpose project after purpose project, learning more and learning more about it. And so the exercise today, you're going to get some clarity on your path, on what immediately follows after this program. Now, I want to just take another moment to talk about kind of how you're going to structure your life after. So, you want to have a soulful home, you want to have soulful community. Now, you need to determine what that looks like, and it might be in joining a men's or women's circle. It may mean doing a leadership program. It may mean working with a coach or a therapist, but it's really up to you. And of course, we have the Global Purpose Intensive that is designed basically to pick up right where this program leaves. So at the end of this program, you'll have a high definition understanding of your ego, high definition understanding of your soul, and the beginnings of what looks like an integrated on purpose ego on purpose life. And we want to support you in actually making that real, because there's a very real danger if this is the last thing you ever touch purpose wise, that you'll be inspired for a while, and you may buy a new book or make some changes, but basically homeostasis will resume, and you'll kind of find yourself back into some old grooves that aren't aligned with your soul. So that's what the Global Purpose Intensive is designed to do. So if you want to go deeper with your soul's purpose, if you want to fully transform your resistance to it, and if you want to be the walking embodiment of your purpose, so that this is just the new normal, such that everybody in your life starts to relate to you as your soul's purpose, this is what the GPI is for. It's especially important for leaders, entrepreneurs, change agents, folks who literally need to be the embodied center of their organization. Because if your mouth is saying one thing and your actions and your body are doing another, people are going to see it and they're going to leave you, basically. I know. That's what happened to me. At the end of 2015, I basically was not the embodiment of my purpose. I was saying, purpose, soul, teaching all these programs. I was working my ass off. And I started chewing tobacco. Started again chewing tobacco, and turned into this like purpose warrior. This guy who was basically just a workaholic that just happened to be working in purpose, as opposed to the embodiment of my purpose. So if you are that kind of person, or you envision yourself as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a change agent, you need to be the walking, talking, eating, breathing, living, fornicating, defecating embodiment of your soul's purpose, because you will get tested. People will be like, you're full of BS. that doesn't work. They'll leave you basically. And that's what happened to me. I lost my first book editor, and after I ran this one particular program, that was the end of it. Like my business took a huge hit, and I realized that I needed to do more embodiment work. So I'm speaking from personal experience. Find some structure, whether it's GPI or men's and women's circle, something that is going to have you true up your life, so that you get to be this integrated, aligned, on purpose, soulful person. And just another note, like if you want to do any other Ensouled Life programs, like the Purposeful Venture Accelerator or the Become a Ensouled Life Guide, and that's to be trained to deliver the Global Purpose Expedition. So if you have a community, or if you are, let's say, you're clergy, therapist, educator, and you want to be somebody who can deliver this work with efficacy, that's a training program. But first, you have to be the embodiment of it. So that's what the Global Purpose Intensive is all about. So I want to share with you a little bit about how my purpose started to move into the world. So I grew up in this kind of upper middle class finance family. Both my parents worked in financial services for Merrill Lynch, and I was pretty much taught to kind of do the same. So I declared finance my literally first week in college. Started reading all these books by investment bankers, and oh God, what is it? Den of Thieves, Liar's Poker, and just was like in this kind of American dream, extractive, which it can be argued that the whole financial services industry is quite extractive. Sense of kind of pride or achievement or worth. And after I had begun my path after business school, I watched Fight Club. I read Four Arguments for the Elimination of Television, and I got really present that I'd been duped. I'd been lied to, and not by my parents, who they weren't like deliberately deceiving me, but just the whole culture in which they were a part of and espousing. Because you have to believe in the American dream in order to sell it, and that's what both of my parents did. So they believed it, and I believed it. And the whole dynamic is set up such that like you work 50 hours a week for 50 years to retire, to then someday, maybe one day, live your soul's purpose. And we didn't question it. We didn't question it at all. And like as I mentioned before, like I didn't even have the language to say this doesn't work for me. It was like everything existed within that worldview. And in my late 20s, early 30s, when I got clear on actually what was happening, it's not just that there is this worldview lie that if you work really hard, you'll be happy, but that what we had inadvertently done as a species, or at least as an American culture, was create this unwinnable game where we never grow up. Like seriously, like we biologically mature and we procreate and all that kind of stuff, but we don't actually know our soul's purpose. So we never actually become initiated as adults, and we do everything we can to fill that hole. So 50 hours a week, consumerism, drugs, pharma, media, random hobbies, all that kind of stuff. And so there's a Thoreau quote about we've created a nation of castles with no kings. And that's basically how I grew up. I grew up in the Chicago suburbs where there's all these McMansions and these like man children, and I guess maybe woman children as well, living in them, like castles, but no kings and queens. And so what was missing for me was being blessed by kings and queens, being like mentored and contributed to, had my gifts acknowledged, and had my place in society like deliberately nurtured and cultured. So that's where my deep sensitivity is. That's like my call. It's like a world without kings, and you could even argue that it's an enslaved world without kings. Because people don't even have the possibility or the language to demand that they should become that. We're basically just setting up, you know, dependency cycles. So, my purpose needed to move out in the world and needed to fix this. So this was my heartbreak, my call. Like, how would I fix this? What would be the projects that I would use to fix this? And so the first purpose project I had was actually a company. It was my company, Everyone. And we set out to create a more purposeful, conscious, interconnected culture. We just distributed conscious goods all around the world. Inside everything we made was this tiny little digital storage device that had the accumulated wisdom of the human species. So it was designed to kind of give people this sense of wonder that like they had the Library of Alexandria like on their wrist or in their pocket. And that was my first project, and I ran it for 18 months. I loved it. It was absolutely amazing. And then it revealed my next project, which was this, you all know, to become a guide. And that's how it goes. So you begin to fulfill on your soul's purpose inside of these projects. And I'm still not done, obviously. There's still so many disempowered folks out there. So many folks who aren't stepping into their power, into their queenship, into their kingship. And there's all these different ways to make a difference. So today's quote is from singer-songwriter Tracy Chapman. This is from her song, All That You Have Is Your Soul. She says, hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. Because all that you have is your soul. And what Tracy's revealing here is that this is it. This is the only game. It's just discovering, embodying, and leading with soul. It's all the other things that go along with soulful life, like deep relationships, home you love, an abundant livelihood, spiritual practice, art, culture. It's all those things too. But that's all you got. At the end of the day, this body goes away, and you get a chance to either participate in the soulful expression, emergence, and contribution of the species, or the other kind of American dream, fill the purpose-sized whole schema. And it's my request that, obviously don't jeopardize your financial, physical, emotional, psychological well-being. But literally, like after you get your bills paid, soul should be the number one priority. Like, how can I live a more soulful life? How can I bring more of who I am into the world? How can I connect with people at a soulful level? How can I soulfully express in my career? Like, it should be the number one concern. And as Tracy in a number of her protest songs talks about, is that like we are here to take a stand. Her other song, Talk About Revolution. We are here to stand for something. We are not here to be led around, like a bull with the ring through its nose. That's not us. We are kings and queens. It begins now. It begins this week with our 10 years process. So as I mentioned, you'll begin by crafting a purpose project. We led through a process to craft it, and then you begin to walk this purpose project into the future. Get a sense of what it actually feels like. Like, what is the embodied emotional somatic experience of living your soul? Feeling these projects erupt in you, being created and fulfilled on one after the other after the other. And this is really where you get to be playful. Like where we finally get to kind of bring the ego back into the situation. So we've, 3 and 4 weeks ago, we kind of tried to deconstruct the ego. Now we're starting to bring it back because your ego is actually going to be needed. Soul needs the ego to be expressed. Absolutely needs it. So it's going to be, you're going to use your ego in the purpose project creation piece. And then you're also going to use it for the rest of your life. Soul and ego are going to start to form this partnership where these two together as an integrated kind of soul-driven personality structure is going to be the new you. So I just want to, again, congratulate you for making it this far. And I look forward to seeing what your purpose projects are. We'll see you soon.